President-elect Lincoln, Senate President Perry, Speaker Teese, and all our guests, welcome to the New Jersey State Museum. I'm Margaret O'Reilly, the museum's curator of fine art and a member of the Lincoln Bicentennial Commission. I'm so pleased to welcome you here today to continue our commemoration of President-elect Lincoln's historic visit to Trenton in 1861. The State Museum's mission is to promote lifelong learning in the arts, science, and history, and we're so honored today to participate as history comes to life.
Thank you, Margaret. Greetings to everyone attending this commemoration of the 150th anniversary of President-elect Abraham Lincoln's visit to Trenton on February 21st, 1861. I am Dr. David Martin, the president of New Jersey Civil War Heritage Association and one of the planners of this event. I want to give thanks to a number of groups and individuals who helped make this event possible. To Peter Mazie, whom you'll hear from in a moment, and the Office of Legislative Services, who helped plan the event and prepared an exhibit of historic documents related to President Lincoln's 1861 visit to the state. These are on display nearby in the rotunda of the Capitol building. He also prepared a trifold brochure and text of Lincoln's speeches to the legislature, also available in the Capitol. To Tom Burke of the New Jersey Civil War 150 Committee, our reenactor liaison. To Joe Bilby of the same group, who helped set up the publicity. To Michael Rickards of the Hall Institute and chairman of the New Jersey Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial Commission. To Margaret O'Reilly and Rebecca Palumbo of the New Jersey State Museum for their help in planning this event. To the New Jersey State Archives, the New Jersey State Museum, and the State Capitol Joint Management Commission. My special thanks to Robert Costello, Ruth Syrak, and Joseph Bordenero for their roles in the recreation of the historic event. Also to the 3rd New Jersey Field Music for their fine contribution to the event, and to the soldiers of the 3rd New Jersey, the 7th New Jersey, the members of George Custer's Camp 17, Sons of Union Veterans, and the other reenactors who are here present. And of course, thank you to all for attending. There is a program available out in the lobby. If you have not picked one up, please do so on your way out. There is also some information flyers on the New Jersey Civil War 150 Committee. I would now like to introduce Michael Rickards of the Hall Institute of Public Policy and chairman of the New Jersey Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial Commission, who will say his welcome. Michael.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Abraham Lincoln Commission, on behalf of the Hall Institute, we are very pleased to have the opportunity to welcome you on this important day. Just before we celebrated the bicentennial of the birthday of Abraham Lincoln, and there's a plaque now in the state legislature for you to look at. In many ways match the one honoring his 100th birthday. And today, we make time to really look at Lincoln's trip from Springfield, his home, that he never saw again, down to Washington, D.C., coming to New Jersey and stopping here in Trenton. I want to thank David for all that he's done, and the members of our commission, and for all of you who love and respect the Abraham Lincoln family. Thank you.
In February 1861, exactly 150 years ago, our country was in the midst of a great crisis. The Electoral College had met on February the 11th. I thought they were meeting in December, but back in those days, they had the Electoral College in February and then the inauguration in March. Unlike now, I think the Electoral College meets in December, inauguration is in January. So the Electoral College met in February 11th, 150 years ago last week, and affirmed Abraham Lincoln of Illinois as our new president, even though he had received only 40% of the popular vote in a highly contested national election held the previous November, featuring 4 highly sectional parties. The country was being split apart as, beginning in December, 7 southern states had seceded from the Union and more were on the verge of doing so. Abraham Lincoln, the president-elect, was a strong advocate of maintaining the Union and preferred to do so peaceably, but neither he nor the nation knew how the crisis would be resolved. We, looking back now, are aware that a great and terrible 5-year war happened, but in 1861 they weren't sure what would be the resolution. Unfortunately, it was the war. When President-elect Lincoln left his home in Springfield on February 11, 1861, he did not know what was in store for him or the country, and he certainly did not know he would not be returning home. As I share with my students at the Petty School where I teach, when he left, he rented his house out, and he gave his dog Fido, actually his boy's dog, to the neighbors to pick up when he got back, and unfortunately, he never made it home. Mr. Lincoln was reaffirmed by the show of support he received at every stop of his 12-day train ride to Washington that took him from Springfield to New York and then across New Jersey to Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington. The President-elect received numerous requests to stop and give speeches during his trip, but he was reluctant to give speeches because he did not want to further inflame the situation, and he did not want to misspeak during any extemporaneous speeches because we know how the press can be. Here in Trenton, he reaffirmed that he was devoted to peace, but he significantly added that he might need to put his foot down firmly, as you will hear shortly. One of the speaking requests that he received was from Governor Charles Olden of New Jersey, who sent a letter to Mr. Lincoln on February 1st, 1861, following a joint resolution passed 3 days earlier by the New Jersey State Legislature. A copy of this letter and Mr. Lincoln's reply are on display over in the Capitol building. Mr. Lincoln accepted this invitation on February 6th and left on his trip across the Midwest and Pennsylvania on the 11th, the day the Electoral College met. He spent 2 nights in New York City, and on the morning of Thursday, and we're here on a Thursday appropriately, February 21st, 1861, he took the ferry to Jersey City. There he was met by a band and a large crowd of at least 20,000 people. He was greeted by his old friend, William Dayton, who said, "Sir, in the absence of the governor and acting as his substitute, I give you a cordial welcome to New Jersey." It appears that Governor Olden, who had invited the president to visit the state, was not actually present that day. He and 6 other loyal New Jerseyans were the state's delegation to a peace conference then being held in Washington as part of a last-minute but futile effort to avert the war. As far as presently can be determined from reading the newspaper accounts of the day, since Governor Olden is not mentioned either at Jersey City or at the arrival of the President-elect in Trenton, it is most likely that he was still down in Washington, not in New Jersey on that day. At Jersey City, Mr. Lincoln made a short speech and then an impromptu joke, as he often did, saying, "There appears to be a desire to see more of me, and I can only say that from my position, especially when I look around the gallery, bowing to the ladies there, I feel that I decidedly have the best of the bargain, and in this manner I am in no mood for compromise," meaning that maybe he will not compromise in the national situation either. He often spoke metaphorically. He left Jersey City at 8:55 for Newark, where he was welcomed by the mayor. There was a parade down Broad Street with the crowd estimated at well over 20,000. He only spoke 3 sentences before leaving at 10:17 for Elizabeth, where he was greeted by a crowd of 15,000, where he said a few words that weren't even recorded. The same happened at Rahway and then at New Brunswick. By the way, if you've heard the story, when he gave the Gettysburg Address, Edward Everett had just spoken for almost 2 hours, by memory, I must say, when Lincoln got up to speak. And the photographers that were there either took a bathroom break or weren't really set up. By the time they got their camera ready to go, the Gettysburg Address was over, which is why we have no picture of him actually taking it, maybe one right before or afterwards, but not during. When he was at Princeton Junction, the student body of the College of Princeton was there out in force, sending, quote, ear-splitting skyrocket cheers that fairly lifted the cars from the tracks. And they sang popular drinking songs and student songs such as Gaudeamus Igitur for the president-elect. From there he proceeded to Trenton, where he arrived at noon for a visit of just over 2 hours.